Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie, and welcome back to another Premier League DraftKings Slate breakdown. 2 days in a row. I'm happy to be back on the grind here, and that DraftKings are offering some nice contests for these slates. However, I will say one thing: I just do not understand why we have a two-gamer instead of a three-gamer. Like now, this is true Man City roulette, probably more than we've ever seen besides a showdown, because they're minus 1,000. Tottenham minus 100 is the other game on the slate. So let's just talk about it. It shouldn't be a long video because at the end of the day, it's just Man City roulette. You pick Man City pieces and hope that you get the ones that get the goals and assists, and that's all it comes down to. For set pieces, Kevin De Bruyne, like this is such a smash spot for him. He probably has monopoly. Maybe we'll see Bernardo take a little bit. Maybe we'll see Foden take a little bit. I don't think so though. I think De Bruyne everything, and he's been priced down a little bit because he just hasn't been playing. So, and just the DraftKings price makers or whatever just gradually make him go cheaper as the more he doesn't play. For Burnley, good Munson and Brownhill splitting probably. Not that I think it matters a huge amount because they're probably all unplayable, frankly. For Tottenham's lineup, like it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be Madison's first start back if he starts, and he came on for 15 minutes in the FA Cup, and they didn't even have a set piece between him and Poro, so we don't really know who's gonna take. My gut kind of thinks it'll be Poro now. They've been doing well with him taking, but then you never know. Like Madison is just always been the set piece guy. I don't think there's ever been a time where he hasn't been taking set pieces. So it's a real question mark. For Brentford, Jensen Monopoly, pretty self-explanatory. In terms of how to build this, like it's gonna be tough. Like let's just see how many Man City pieces we can really even shove down here. You can do pretty much whatever you want. Let's first go like price, or let's go down the price list. Holland, questionable. Will he play? Probably not. If he does, like that's just another decision to make. He's another Man City roulette piece. You probably have to play him at 8,700. Like he's not as much as he should be. All these guys coming back from injury are just cheaper than they should be. Like Holland, De Bruyne should all be 10K instead they're 8. So if Holland plays, you probably plug him. Hopefully he doesn't. Then it becomes, do you play Alvarez? I feel like he gets subbed is his issue with Holland, like more than likely on the bench. Probably comes on, probably for Alvarez. I don't see them subbing De Bruyne. They've been super careful with him and not even started him last cup game. He hasn't been started in any of the games, even though he's been playing a decent chunk of time each one. So like I feel like Alvarez is the odd man out now for the subs. Richarlison 8,400. Any piece that's not a city piece is gonna be a differential, especially attackers, because everyone is going to just plug all of the city pieces. So like a Richarlison, super low owned, good GPP leverage, I'd say. Same with Timo Werner, Brennan Johnson, or really anybody. Ivan Toney. I think Ivan Toney is super interesting against Tottenham. They play that high line. Like you're gonna have to play other team pieces because that's just how classic works. You can just play all guys from one team. So like I think Tony could be an interesting way to get there. Um, who else is down here? Like there's nothing. Brian Heel, if he plays for that much, you could maybe go ultra crazy, play like an Amdouni or something. I think most people go Ederson, so pieces like Burnley attackers could be a great way that if they score, he screws the people who played Ederson, and you're chilling with a probably 5% owned goal. Then how likely is it? You have to ask yourself. So that's something to think about for sure. Midfield, who did I talk about? Yeah, Foden, Alvarez, like all these Man City pieces are good plays. Like they're all kind of underpriced, frankly, for this. I don't know why. I think they kind of made prices thinking there'd be an extra game with Liverpool, and they just didn't add the Liverpool game. Just so bizarre. So like the guys who I think are probably the safest, Holland. If there's no Holland, Foden, and Doku. I think most people go Foden Doku. Bernardo could be, he's probably an interesting low owned city play, or probably not low owned, but less than the other guys. Midfielders, Madison. I think you fade. I think you fade. I think it'll be Porro set pieces. I don't know how many minutes Madison's gonna get. I think it could be interesting in GPP if you go Madison instead of Porro. I think you play one or the other, not both, since you're just hoping for set pieces. And Porro's probably the safest of the two. Jack Grealish, if he plays, I just don't like his upside. Like he had that insane run of scoring 3 games in a row. He's kind of come down back to earth since then. I don't know if he's even healthy, really. Like I'm not super interested in that. Oscar Bob, if he plays, like they're all just ways to get to City. I hope it's Doku and Foden though. Rodri 6,500. I think he's a little much for this. He's not bad though. Like if you're building GPP builds, I feel like you have to just mix and match them all. And like any of these not obvious ones, like a Rodri or a Grealish or a Bernardo, like they're gonna be the ones that you kind of pivot to over the Dokus and I think yeah, Dokus and Fodens. I think De Bruyne, I'm probably playing him in every single team. Like this is such a smash spot for him. I'm just probably coring. Jensen, he's another third team guy. I think he's all right. I haven't experimented that much with builds, but I don't think that's that bad. Man City forwards are kind of where it's at. The midfielders are less important, unless you're playing a forward slash midfielder in that slot, which I suppose you could do. Mateus Nunez, if he plays, that's pretty good, I think. That's a pretty cheap way to get to City. I like that a lot, actually. These are the Kovacic if he plays. Like, just any City piece is a good piece here, really. They're probably going to murder them. Defenders, I'm probably going to Sporo. Like he gets you a team that's not City. That's now you need just one more other piece from either Brentford or Burnley to make a build work. He's cheaper than Madison. He doesn't take up a City like midfielder forward slot, which is I think where the money is because Man City aren't loaded with insane defenders. The attackers are where it's at for them. So like this is where you probably get your other teams. You go for Poro, you go for probably a pay down of anyone here really. A Pinnock or whatever works. Johnson is 2,600. That is crazy. If he plays, that's a really good play, I think. Gavardio, Udoji. Both these guys I don't love, but they're all right. Like there's not a ton of defenders here besides Poro, which is why I think you plug him. I'd love if Rico Lewis started. He'd be a plug. He's a City defender who could get there because he's not really a defender. He's an attacker, of course. Or unless he plays right back. If he's right back, he's not as appealing. If he plays that like midfield hybrid role, love that. Any of these guys, like Ruben Diaz, any city guy, any city guy, any city guy. Ayer, if he's at left back, that's not that bad. Just who you fit around your Man City players. And I don't think there's going to be a huge gap between any of them, really. Like, I feel like there's just not that much else to say about this slate. Just hope you get your city pieces right. In terms of a core and for cash, De Bruyne, if there's no Holland, Foden, Doku, I'll even throw in a bonus one, Poro. That'll be the popular kind of four cash guys, I feel like. If there's no, or if there's a Holland, I mean, just go that, and then you still go Poro. And you just fit, you can fit from there. Like, it's not a super kind of slate where there's 5 games, you kind of need to search for a hidden gem. Like, no one's gonna miss anyone with a 2 game slate and one of them being City. Like, I just don't feel like there's a lot to say really. Hope you get your Man City pieces right. GPP, play for something unusual, I'd say, for GPP. Like maybe fade Ederson, go like a Vicario. That's already kind of different, I think. Like Ederson's going to be the most owned goalkeeper, but I don't know if he's going to be a GPP winning goalkeeper, even if he keeps a clean sheet. If there's a clean sheet in the other game, Tottenham Brentford, I guarantee you they outscore Ederson just because he probably ends with 1 save max, maybe 2. If Vicario wins, he might get his insane games of like 7. He didn't even get a clean sheet that game. Or even just pay down, play like even Trafford. Like maybe Man City only won 2-0. He makes like 10 saves or something, and suddenly he's the optimal goalkeeper. Goalkeeper might be the biggest factor in the slate, really. That's how much of a just bizarre slate it is. I just don't get why they don't include Liverpool. Like at least have some variance to the builds if there was another game here. Liverpool minus 180. It'd be like that could be a way to get off of City. But now it's Tottenham or nothing really. Maybe you could argue Brentford are all right plays. I talked about Tony, but they don't really offer that much besides them. You have to play 5 at the back and 3 holding midfielders basically. You go Tony and Malpai. There's not a ton of other ways to go upside from there. Just a gross slate, I feel like. But yeah, bit of a shorter video, guys. Good luck in City Roulette, and hope everyone has a good day. Bye.